Hey
Good to
everyone,
go.
it's Jason from Kind of Cool, and I'm with.
Jake from Juliet-Juliet-IndiaMobile.
Yep, and we just got back from Retropalooza Arlington earlier today, and we want to kind of go over kind of what we saw, what we did, and most importantly, what we got. Right, we're gonna go over our pickups here later on as well. And Jake, I know obviously we met up last year for the first time in person for
Yep.
Retropalooza last year in Arlington, and we had a pretty good time. We had Josh from Play More Games with us. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it this time, but you and I were able to make it back, and overall, I'd say pretty good experience, but a little bit smaller than the previous year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there used to be a slightly larger footprint from last year, but this year it was just it shrunk. Maybe I say about maybe 20% or so, wouldn't you say?
I would agree. I was going to say the same thing. It feels about
Yeah.
20% lighter than it was, but you know what? Still fun. Still good boost there and good stuff to see and good stuff to pick up. So I'm not complaining. The theme this year, and I still got my lanyard on right here, was the Mega Man X series, which is pretty cool. I'll get a close up shot of that as well, but kind of cool theme for this year. I think last year was Adventures in Babysitting, so I'll take Mega Man X series over that any day. But
Definitely.
pretty impressive walkthrough. I know I got there about 10:15, so it opened at 10. I think you got there about 10:30 or so when we met up.
Yeah, about 10:30 or so. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just kind of just dug in. I didn't do as much filming this year. Last year I did a complete full video on it. This year I didn't have the gumption to do that. I just kind of wanted to just go enjoy the thing and walk around and hang out with you and that's kind of what we did. So thoughts on some interesting booths you saw or interesting items and kind of just tell me what kind of give me your takeaway.
I'll say this year it was some of the interesting stuff we saw. I mean, I was looking specifically for Sega Genesis and 3DO this year. I'm always looking for things like PS Vita as well, and we did see some of it, and quite a lot of complete in box collections being sold there. I mean, there was that one booth that we went to. Where that guy was selling off his collection that had all those really nice condition games. You got a couple of them. Don't want to spoil it there, but you got a couple of games from him, and just that overall aesthetic that they had. I mean, I've seen that before, but I don't think I've seen it in the as full of force as we have in the past.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of really clean sort of collector kind of stuff, and just a wide variety of things. And I mean, we I don't think we ran into very many booths where we didn't find something worth looking at. I'll say that. I mean, everything we went
Absolutely.
into, you might have had some booths that were like, okay, you him and haw, but definitely there were quite a few booths that you had stuff that you were like, wow, that's something we got to pull out, we got to look at, having a showcase. So
Yeah, I agree with you. And as always, just like last year, you've got that eagle eye, and you were able to some
oh yeah,
spot some stuff that I was specifically looking for, and you brought it to my attention. I was able to pick that up, so I do appreciate that. You're obviously really good at that, so I was very happy to see you help me out with that. So thanks for that.
that's that attention to details. It's what people don't see. They get that all set up in the booth, and everybody's got everything everywhere, and it's just a matter of going over it and just finding that one little thing, and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say this time around too, there was a lot of like holy grail pieces there. We
Oh
can
yeah,
I can think of a couple really heavy hitter NES games that we saw. We saw the obviously the stadium events that was graded. Remember that? I think it had got like an
yeah,
8.0 or something, and that's pretty unbelievable. And just to see
that
one of
was
those
pretty
in
cool.
person graded like that was a pretty impressive experience. And
Oh, there was that booth that had nothing but hitters. A little Samson booth that they had. There
yeah,
was a little Samson there.
yes,
Uh,
yes. And in fact, I got one of my pickups from that booth as well. Not quite that level of hitter, but still an interesting game though. So
we saw that little Samson manual for $1,000.
yeah. It's always, I know people complain and they're like, oh, it's too expensive. You see these grail pieces and nobody buys them. But you know what? It's still a thrill to see those things out in I wouldn't really call it the wild. I guess that's kind of the wild, but I
Yeah,
always gravitate towards those and they get a picture taken and I give them some respect, give them some props. So
yeah. Oh, we saw that Crusader Ascenti too. Oh, complete
yeah,
box Crusader Ascenti. That's
that's
like
right.
that's one of those Genesis games you just don't see in person.
True.
I don't think I've ever seen one in person myself personally.
Yeah. And it looked like a clean copy. I mean, like you were saying, a lot of the stuff was the condition this year. A lot of the stuff was in really good shape, and I kind of tend to be a condition snob. So I'm happy to see that when that happens.
Definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to spend the money on it, you want it to look nice, stay nice. So, you know what I mean?
I hear you. I hear you. So we're talking all the stuff about what we saw. Let's talk a little bit about what we picked up. And I think what we can kind of do is let's alternate. So I'll do one and then you do one. How's that sound? We'll kind of work our way through our stack here for our pickups today.
Yeah, I got
So
my Toys R Us sack from today.
yeah, good looking bag there too. And those are collectible in their own right, right? So
Yeah, for real.
I'm going to start off with one. I'll pull one out right here, and you mentioned this as well. Very NES heavy. There was a guy there, like you said, that was selling an entire collection. He had everything but stadium events. And he told me personally that 40% of his stuff was boxed. And you could tell by the, allotment that he had of his stuff. I don't disagree. One of the things I brought home was this really good looking iron tank. I think he's got 29.99 on it, but I think I wheeled and dealed a little bit. I got a group buy kind of, bought multiple things and got that one down. But you and I both agreed that this one was too pretty to leave out there, right? Somebody needed to leave with that. So I definitely brought Iron Tank home. So that's the first one I picked up. And you go ahead and drop something you picked up, and I'll move on to my next one.
This isn't one that this is one of the first thing I picked up, but I saw it in a booth. It was a booth that we went into that had a bunch of peripherals and systems and stuff. And I've been looking for a really nice, clean Sega Light Phaser. And lo and behold, $8 for a super clean, fully functioning Sega Light Phaser. I already took my stuff and cleaned it up. So
awesome pickup. And I know you scored that one again, that Eagle Eye, found that deal. And you know what? I don't even have a Sega Master System. I would have bought that. So good looking out there on that one. So I'll move on to my next one. And again, another NES game talked about. They came from the same collection. Most of my stuff today came from that one guy's collection. This is a really nice looking Commando, and I think he had $39. But again, I think I did a little bit of wheeling and dealing by buying this in a package deal. And this one still has the shrink wrap on it, right? Talk about how it's inside the protector with the shrink wrap. I'm probably going to pull that. We had a discussion in Discord about that. I'm probably not going to keep it in there. That's just me. I know some people like to leave it, but beautiful looking copy of Commando. Not the world's best game, but I think an important and iconic game. So I was happy to bring that one home in the collection. So.
Not just that, the one, even if you do have the plastic that's in there, it came in a plastic case. Mm-hmm. So, a box protector. So, I mean, if you did pull the cellophane off of it, we definitely have box protector there for you. So it's going to stay nice and clean.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
I'll go ahead here and pull out this guy here. Mystic Defender. This guy is a complete box. So actually the label on that thing is actually really good. I found this sitting on a table there. And the guy had $69 on it. So that's like $69.99 or $70. And I just pulled out a bunch of trade that I had and said, hey, would you go for a trade? I traded some Vita games that I had duplicates of, and one like PSP game we found at a thrift store that we didn't really pay anything for. And he just told me, oh, cool, we're all good. So I straight traded for this one. So no cash out of pocket, but just some extra games out of pocket. But yeah, I mean, condition on this guy is really good.
And yeah, nice looking game there. And again, you're always good with the Eagle Eye and the wheeling and dealing. That backpack comes full and it leaves a little lighter, doesn't it?
Yeah, it always does. I think last year I traded a GameCube for a bunch of stuff. I had a GameCube that we found at a like some sort of like secondhand shop that we got Pokemon XD and a bunch of other stuff like that on with it. And I took that GameCube there, and that basically covered a large portion of what we picked up last year. So
I remember that. So all right, so I'll move on to my next. I'm gonna do the next one in a batch here. Oh, at least a couple of these here at the same time. I'm going for the silver box collection. I think most people probably do. I've kind of shared it on my channel and on the Discord as well. And I had a couple gaps here. Top Gun was a big one. And this is a relatively cheap game. I got this one for $24, but again, I had it in a group. I went back to this guy multiple times about multiple sets, and each time he gave me a little bit sweeter deal. It says 24 on here, but I think I got it for a little bit less than that. Good looking copy. It's not flawless, but you know what? Top Gun's not my favorite game in the series for that one. I like it okay, but it didn't need to be mint, or perfect. And this one's definitely solid and good enough to go. This other one is a silver box, kinda. I really have this on my list of if I find it, I'll pick it up. And the reason why I'm being really particular about this is it doesn't have the vertical blinds, the really traditional Konami early silver box look to it. This is kind of like an interim thing that they did before they segued into a all-out kind of cover. Think like Contra Force, that type of thing. But this one kind of still retains some element of the old school. Just misses the blind. So, not I've never even played this game, right? But, when you have to go, when you're going for a silver box collection, I think sometimes you got to get some games. I don't want to call them lemons, but definitely not bangers. And that's definitely this one. This is Bill Elliott's NASCAR. Konami kind of silver box in a way. So there's that. There's another one for me there. And let me do one more while we're talking about Konami silver
Yeah,
box.
go ahead.
You had an eagle eye, and I told you, hey, I'm missing track and field. I got track and field the game. I got track and field the box. I don't have the manual. You found it one of the manual bins. I think I picked this up for like $4 or $5, $6, something like that. So completed my track and field. So goes hand in hand with my Konami silver box pickup. So thanks again for that, Jake. Much
You got to
appreciated.
tell exactly
Now
like
to pick that
it was. As soon as you said, hey, I'm looking for track and field manual. That's the next thing I flipped up, and I'm like, you mean this right here?
I think it was like 15 minutes later, right? It wasn't very
Yeah,
long. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good stuff.
So, all right. Well, let's dig in here. I'll save that one for last. That's my more of a heavy hitter here. I've been looking to try to, I guess, complete some of my Genesis stuff, and this is a game that I have that I really, really like, Vector Man,
Mhm.
and I this was complete in box. I have a cart only, and so I can go ahead and put the cart only on the trade pile. But I think you had $35 on this one. But I worked a bundle with the other game that I got here. But this guy is just, outside of the box protector here. It's complete, but I like that shiny looking box there. It's a nice copy for sure. And Vector Man, we're talking about this game. It's a bit of an underrated game for what it is. I mean, you don't see very many people talking about it. If I remember, it was a later Genesis game too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think actually it was. It definitely
Yeah,
wasn't one of the early ones, and I agree with you on that. When I came back and got my Genesis for the first time, a lot of these games were completely new to me. I don't think I'd even really heard of Vector Man. But when I picked up my first Genesis, that was in the bundle that it came with, and I had a
yeah,
lot of fun playing through that game, and actually the sequel as well. And I would definitely, I know it gets knocked on quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly why, because if you like a good solid it was kind of a platformy shootery type game,
yeah.
all the stuff that I really, really enjoy, and I had a blast with it. And I think that was a good looking example of it right there. And I thought that was a really solid pickup. Good deal on that one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, just the fact that this probably came out in what 95 or something like
Mhm.
that, and the box itself is still shiny as it would have been in a Toys R Us.
Yep,
So,
good one. That was a
uh,
good pickup for sure.
yeah, definitely.
All right, I'll do one more here for me, and I got a heavy hitter kind of waiting on deck too, kind of like you said. So again, this
Yeah.
is coming back to the same booth, same guy that was selling his collection, all together. Rad Racer, and I didn't have Rad Racer, but I'm not even entirely sure that I'm going to keep this copy. Now, this one is complete. It has the manual, and it actually even has the 3D glasses, and that really was what attracted me to it. And the price, he was asking 59 for this, but again, I got this in a bundle deal, and I think I've got roughly $10 off that. So about $50 for really nice looking copy Red Racer that's complete with the glasses, and I know that adds a little bit to it. I got plans for this though. This might be gifted to somebody that we know. I'm not going to spoil anything, but
Maybe.
I'll let you fill in the blanks there. But this copy deserves to be in a collection that's not mine. I got a home in mind for it. So we'll see how that all plays out. So no spoilers,
Gotcha.
but if you read through the lines there, you probably figure out where that might be going. All right, and I got my big one here. I think you kind of do as well, right? So I got one
Yep.
left in the chamber, one bullet left in the chamber.
Gotcha.
So you go first, and I'll take the last one, I guess here.
All right. This one here is definitely one of the more heavy side of it, and this is a complete in box Comic Zone, and I think he had 85 on it. But again, I bundled with Vector Man, and again, these non-clamshell Genesis games, getting them complete in box. And I mean, even look at the condition of the boxes, and
Mhm.
it's in really good shape. This game, I don't have very much history with it, but man, the art style of this game is just amazing. The sort of the comic panes of each one of the different areas in it, and I mean, it's one that's climbed up there in years, but I mean, this is a very proper example of it. So I had to say yes, I'm going to take it with me. But I was able to cut a deal for with this one, and I walked away with just these two alone, and I paid $100 out of that. So these two,
Excellent.
so
That
that's
game, I dig that game. It is brutally hard, but it
yeah.
is definitely an aesthetic experience like no other, on just about any platform. They really kind of reached for something completely different, and I think largely they achieved it. So good game. And again, we talked about the theme of the event kind of being like these really clean, nice looking examples of games, and that one's another one. So good job on that
Yeah,
one, Jake. So all right, so here's
definitely.
my last one. And you and I were looking through, and I was heavy on Nintendo, but I didn't want to come home with just Nintendo stuff, right? I knew that. I
Yep.
had a really clean copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the Genesis Hyperstone Heist in my hand. It was $100. Remember, I almost got it.
Yep.
I didn't get it, and I moved down to another booth, and I found one that was pretty comparable, Truxton, for $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is complete with clamshell, got the hang tap, missing the manual, but a really nice looking cartridge label on this as well. So you got a nice insert, nice cartridge label, good game. I had this game in my collection previously, and I actually traded it to Dad Racer. And it was one of those ones where it kind of stung. You're like, it was a loose copy. It wasn't complete like this. And I think it had a repro label, and it was the deal too. But we worked a
Yeah.
trade, and I always kind of thought that left a gap in my collection because I do enjoy this game. Made sense to bring it
And
home this time, right? Made sense to bring this home for $100. I thought it was a good deal, right?
if nothing
Um,
else, just pop it in the Genesis and turn on the BGM on it.
yes,
You
yeah.
know,
And
some
I was kind of sad that we missed out on the Hyperstone Heist, and you and I circled back around, and we thought that
yeah.
it would be gone, and in fact it was gone, right? Somebody picked it up. So it was one of those things where you miss out, you wait a little bit, you circle back, and sometimes it's there, and this time, no, not so much.
No.
So
Yeah.
anyway, those are kind of our big areas. I think overall we both did well, and most importantly, man, I had a blast, and I was so glad that you were able to go. I know that you had some family events that were lined up and kind of got rained out, and I'm sad to hear that. But on the flip side, I'm happy you made it out there because I had a
Same.
way better time with you there than I would have just been strolling through there alone. So worked out well in that respect. So
Yeah, you gotta always, every time you go to one of these things, you gotta have a second set of eyes because there's so much stuff that you go through and you tend to miss, and just having another person out there, just kind of keeping an eye out for what you're looking for. It always helps me out because I know, like, sometimes you walk through something and no matter how much time you stare at it, you miss that one like gem that was there that you were looking for, or you didn't even know you were looking for. So
yeah, I tend to kind of get somewhat overwhelmed in the moment, and my eyes are looking at the big shiny things. But you're really good at attacking the small things. Going through those bins, looking for those manuals, looking for random loose inserts. You're great at
yeah,
that. So again, that's why I always make it a point to let you know what I'm looking for because I got a good chance I'm gonna hit on something that way. And 2 years in a row, that's happened. So
two
appreciate
for
that.
two.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't say that we went out after the event too, just like we did last year
Yep.
and we went to another one of the barcade type places, not the same one that we did last year. But what was the name of the one we went to today?
Free play in Arlington.
Free play. Okay, yeah. And so we went out there, had a bite to eat, and enjoyed some games out there as well. And I think we got a few
Yeah.
pictures. I'll show those here for however many I can find. But we played through some Double Dragon. I think we beat Double Dragon together, tandem, and that
Yep.
was fun. We did some Street Fighter. I think we did some
Definitely.
Puzzle Fighter too. I think right.
Yeah. Puzzle fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. That was a cool
So
place,
yeah.
man. I'm glad that you showed me around up there and your neck of the woods. If you make it down into the Austin area, I'm gonna try to do the same for you at some point as well. So yeah, all things said and done, we did miss out on play more games. I got to tell you, man, we missed that mellowness that he brings to the table, right? That was
Yep.
cool last year, and so I got to say that this year I did miss him not being there, but maybe next time around we'll get Josh from Play More Games to check back in, hopefully, right?
And a couple more folks from the Retro Collective that are up in the sort of uh, Texas area. Well, I guess as we call ourselves the Texas chapter of the Retro Collective.
I think that
So
sounds about right, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we
Yep.
got Kiwi Lord Gaiman, who was in the Lubbock area talking about heading this way possibly if some things had just shook out a little differently. So that could happen. Micro
Mega.
Wolverines in the Houston area, kind of in place, semi-retired, but maybe not really. So we might see him too as well. So
Mhm.
Romulius, right? I think he's in Japan right now, but he was
Yeah.
going to be there had he not been in Japan. So
Mega
yeah,
Buster Retro. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Mega Buster Retro, yeah, AKA right. So
Yeah. AK.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we can get it going. But hey, you know what? I think you and I did pretty good out there today. I'm not going to complain. So
No, no complaints whatsoever. Had a blast today. Got to
yep,
dig through some stuff. Got to see some cool games, and at the end of it, we got to have a couple of drinks and play some arcade. Can't ever complain about that.
can't beat that. All right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up. I think that pretty much covers everything for today. But keep an eye on both of our channels, and hopefully we'll show you something interesting in the future, conventions or otherwise. So thanks for watching,
Yeah.
guys. If you have any comments, leave them below, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.